Welcome back. Time now to talk about mountaineering, and we'll be speaking to a successful mountaineering team, American Expedition 2020. They successfully climbed the K6 Central Peak. So to my right, I have Jeffrey Thomas Wright. Jeffrey, great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having us.
And we also have Priti Wright, who was right there with him. Priti?
Hello.
Great
to
see you.
be here. Thank you.
Well, first of all, congratulations. Overall, first, before we get into detail, how was it?
Zabardast. We were the first ascensionists of K6 Central, 7,100 meters. And it was our first time in Gilgit-Baltistan, which is an absolutely stunning area of the country.
Beautiful.
Priti, your thoughts?
It was difficult, but we overcame it all odds just to climb this peak. It was something we wanted to do for 2 years, and I'm so glad that we got the opportunity to come and do it.
So you two are married. You've been married for what, 8 years?
8 years.
So I mean, when did you discover this love for this kind of adventure?
6 years ago, we moved to Seattle, Washington in the United States. And very popular activity in Seattle is mountaineering. We're surrounded by several volcanoes and glaciated peaks, and it's a very popular activity where we're from.
Right. So while, I mean, as you said, Gilgit-Baltistan and these places, the place that you went to was absolutely stunning, mesmerizing. But this is also something that's extremely challenging and can be very dangerous. So I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that, Priti.
It's definitely challenging, especially we delayed our trip a little bit. We were originally going to come August, and we ended up coming, or we originally wanted to come June, and it came August. And it was much colder than we anticipated. So we had to persevere through the cold and the wind. And in the end, we just kept going slowly and overcame all odds.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how cold was it?
10.
12.
12.
The morning low was negative 21 Celsius, and the winds were 45 kilometers an hour.
That's nasty, biting cold.
It's not ideal.
But were there ever moments where you just felt like you've had enough and you wanted to give up, and then you had to encourage each other to move on? I see her nodding, but
almost
I'll get your take on that
minute,
first, Jeff.
about every minute. But we're extremely safety conscious, so we're not afraid to turn around if it feels unsafe. And on the mountain, the whole experience was uncomfortable, but it wasn't unsafe. And I would view an unsafe condition with hazardous precipitation, which we didn't have, or avalanche conditions, which we didn't have. So it was just a little bit of cold, a little bit of wind, and we just kept going to the top.
So the conditions were still, I mean, okay.
Very safe.
Okay to climb here, very safe. Priti, when you were going through a difficult time, when you felt like that you couldn't take it anymore and you wanted to give up, how did you talk yourself out of it, and how did he support you?
I talked to Jeff, and he said, "Oh, we're at K6 West. We're just going to climb over towards K6 Central and look up at it and see how it looks. Then we'll come back maybe. Or we'll keep going if it looks like it is possible." We got there and we looked up at it. We can do this. So then we kept going.
But once you get there, and once you finish, it must be highly exhilarating. So can you tell us about that feeling?
Yeah, I've never been in a race, a marathon, but it feels like a race where you know the finish line is at the end and you can just pull off to the side and go have a meal, but you can see the finish line. And K6 Central, you can see it almost the whole climb. So we saw ahead of us and we just kept pressing forward a little bit at a time.
How did you feel when you finished the climb? What was going through your mind?
Oh my gosh, I had one foot hanging over the Charakusa Glacier straight down, the other foot over the Nangma Glacier. I could see all of the high peaks, 8,000 meter peaks nearby. I felt like I was on top of the world.
We talked about this earlier, but I'd like you to expound. You said it's one of the most beautiful places you've ever seen. Can you just tell us a little bit about that, the beauty of the northern areas, the beauty of Gilgit-Baltistan?
The Karakoram mountain range is unique in that it has, and I'd encourage everyone to go to Gilgit-Baltistan and see the mountains for yourselves. It has pinnacles, needles of rock that is very unique in the world. You don't find these kind of formations anywhere else. And as far as you can see, for many, many kilometers, it's just unclimbed rock spires of snow, and it's just a jagged, complex topography. And as mountaineers, we see lots of not just beauty, but opportunity for new lines and new peaks and exploration and adventure.
I mean, there are many places around the world which are absolutely stunning. There are many places in the U.S. which are gorgeous. I mean, Washington, just outside Washington. I mean, there's some lovely places to visit, beautiful
Absolutely.
lakes, rivers, Colorado. But what we see up north in Pakistan, it's a different kind of beauty, isn't it? It's
Different.
an untouched. It's like, it's unreal almost. I mean, that's the feeling that I get. What about you, Preeti?
It feels like a fantasy mountainscape because they're so steep and so pointy, but you get rock climbing, you get ice climbing, you get snow climbing, and these deep, beautiful valleys. And being up high, you can see the complex topography is just incredible. And the people in Baltistan, Gilgit-Baltistan, are just incredibly kind, so nice. I feel like they're family now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you asked a child to draw a mountain range, they would draw some pointy spires that are straight up and straight down. That's the Karakoram range. That's nowhere else on Earth.
Now, tell me, a lot of hard work and preparation goes into this, and research, I would imagine. So tell us about that. What kind of preparation and research did both of you have to do before you got into this?
First of all, a lot of physical training, cardio training. We did a lot of technical climbing in the Alps before we came to hone our snow and ice and rock skills. And then the logistics was something that took years, several years to plan. What exactly would we need at base camp? What would we need on the mountain? Getting our gear list together and doing our final packing.
Did you find the preparation tiresome?
Oh, definitely not. I think all the research we did about the whole area, it was just really intense to gather all of this information and then come and actually see it and understand, oh, this is how everything is working out. How do we get from one place to another? This is how all the mountains are actually laid out. We've been planning to take a year off to travel around the world and climb, and so that's what we did for 2020. And the culmination of all of our climbing previously, climbing in Patagonia, in the Alps, was to get ready and prepare to climb here. Because these are the hardest, toughest mountains. Yeah.
Yes.
I asked you guys, I asked both of you earlier, but was there ever a point where you wanted to give up because you must have been exhausted? But was there ever a moment where you were scared? And if you were, how did you combat that?
Not scared. I have been scared on other climbs, and that trained us. If we do feel scared, then we just shouldn't be on the mountain. And ideally, alpinist, the mountaineer, shouldn't feel fear from bottom to top. That means that either you see something wrong objectively, or you feel something is wrong inside. So luckily on this climb, that we had no instincts that told us to turn around, that we were in danger.
Because there are lots of people who want to get into mountaineering, but then the fear factor comes in. They're afraid. So what advice would you give to them? A young person who wanted to take this up, what would you tell them to overcome? How would you tell them to overcome their fear?
I think it's experience. If you expose yourself to things that you're afraid of and then realize that it's not actually that scary, then the more you do that, the more you'll be able to tell the things that you should actually be scared of and not be scared of.
And especially young people want to feel the adrenaline, so they want to push into the fear a little bit. And so you have to take it small chunks at a time. And you climb smaller peaks, and you're maybe a little scared at first, but then you get over that fear, and then you climb a little bit bigger peaks. So taking it slow and having a good progression. You never want to really feel fear, whether you're sport climbing, rock climbing, or alpine climbing in the mountains.
I mean, this is a little bit random, a little bit personal as well. You two are married. You've been married for almost 10 years, but to go on an expedition like this, you must have, even though you've known each other for ages, you must have learned a lot about each other. and the communication, maybe like some married couples, again, like the communication can be an issue, but over when you're on an expedition, something as dangerous as this, you have no choice but to communicate. And I actually think it's a great idea. Like, it must be
Absolutely.
one amazing adventure where you get to grow and learn so much about each other. Must have been a fantastic experience.
That's really insightful. Every climb.
Is it? I thought it might have been
No,
too
no,
much in my
no,
head. I
not
thought,
at all.
have I said the right thing? Maybe I've hit a few raw nerves.
Every
Sorry, go ahead.
climb, we learn something about each other,
Absolutely.
and our communication gets better. So that when we're back at home, and if we're tempted to have a fight about something, we know how to communicate in a stressful environment in the mountains, and so that helps us at home as well.
And in the mountains, I think we have to both stay very positive, because the moment someone starts getting negative and saying, oh, complaining, this and that is the wrong, we're running out of food, I'm cold, then it brings the other person down. So we're trying to support each other. And I think we really got somewhere with this climb, just supporting each other and being positive.
I think this is the best kind of therapy, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be,
Yeah.
right? Final question: what now? You've done this, and you've climbed this successfully. What's next for both of you?
We have friends in Seattle who've come to and climbed in Pakistan for many years and many decades. One friend has done 17 expeditions to the Karakoram
Wow.
Range. And so we hope that this is just the beginning. And in a couple of years, we'll come back and find a new objective. And then a couple more years, we'll come back again and find another objective. So we have discovered this playground, and we're hooked. So
You sound hooked, and you know what? And you guys know as well. There's so much more to see.
Yeah.
There's so much more to climb, and I know. I mean, both of you can't wait to do it. But I encourage you to stay safe. Obviously you did your research, and you won't just be in Pakistan, right? You'll go elsewhere as well. Do you have other plans to climb other?
As far as high
routes?
altitude expeditions, I want to come back to Pakistan.
Right.
Maybe the Charakusa Valley next time.
Yeah.
We'll go a little further north. Turns out that fall is a nice time to come. We had fantastic weather. It was just a little cold, but I can't wait to come back.
Fall's amazing. Fall's amazing up there. Winter is obviously very, very challenging.
Yeah.
Summer is also great as well, and autumn is beautiful.
Yeah.
So don't only come on an expedition. Of course, that's your main purpose. You should, but on a vacation, it's absolutely wonderful. And as you
Beautiful.
said,
Definitely.
stunning, absolutely stunning. We've got to leave it at that. Thank you very much for coming on the show, and congratulations for what you've achieved. It's wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's all we have time for. Keep watching Sports Extra on PTV World. See you next time. Bye-bye.